Luke, we are late. For those that are dedicated listeners to the show, wow, my camera is going insane. So I'm
Wow,
gonna
your
fix
camera
that.
is this. We just this
We're
this
gonna
just got
restart
changed to an
this
R-rated
episode.
show.
It
No,
was-
don't you dare! You leave it in.
oh
People want to
boy.
see that waistline.
One second,
The
folks.
Michigan in Trumble podcast is now on OnlyFans.
There we go. Well, we gotta monetize this podcast somehow.
I like the rant. Ranting is fun. It also cleanses the soul.
Detroit is to be one of the best sports cities in the country, if not the best.
Surely Javi can't be as bad this year as he was last year. Surely that can't be the case.
One of the worst offenses, if not the worst offense, like in the modern era of baseball. Just absolutely atrocious. He is a piece to the puzzle. He is not the entire puzzle.
Right.
He is a puzzle piece, but he is not the entire puzzle.
This is the Michigan in Trumbull podcast with your hosts, Alex S. Freeman and Luke Giaconis. Hello and welcome to the Michigan in Trumbull podcast. I'm Alex Freeman, joined as always by Luke Giaconis. Luke, we're tardy in the release of this episode. Partially because I could not record in our regular Thursday night time because I was at the Tigers versus Yankees. And then partially because I'm going to blame the first weekend of NFL football for why we didn't get it done the rest of the weekend. You
Fair.
also took in some college football over the weekend.
I did. Yes, Ma.
So I guess Luke, how are you? I'm so condolences to the Bears. And how was your first weekend of football being back in full force?
Well, I wish I could believe you when you say condolences to the Bears. I know you've got to just be loving this. It's like the first time. Usually we're in misery together with our teams, but now we kind of separate for the football season where it does become, let's pick at each other and throw rocks at one another. Actually, we're pretty civil because I think we both agree, like, hey, if it can't be me, I'd rather it be you. And as long as it's not Green Bay, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of our mindset. That's like our unofficial kind of alliance that we have. I'm good personally. Good. Life is good. I did just this past weekend, like you mentioned, took in my first ever real college football experience. So where you and
what
I
an
went to school,
insult to where we went to college, Luke.
Western Illinois University
You
is a
went to
wonderful
Florida versus
institution.
McNeese State. You didn't go to a real college football game.
That is true. That is true. It was from what I could gather, it was one of those you put on the schedule just so you could say at the end of the season, well, at least we got one under our belt, kind of.
No,
thing.
I don't.
The
I
layup
don't
game,
have.
so to
I
speak.
don't have great confidence that Western Illinois University could have beaten McNeese State, but here we are.
I don't know. Yeah, here we are. I don't know. No disrespect to our alma mater, WIU, the WIU. But man, I've never. I'm not going to bury the lead here, and you know this about me. But in case our listeners and our viewers on the YouTube don't know this, I have never been a huge college sports fan. I don't follow March Madness because I'm not a big basketball guy. I love baseball, but I don't even really tune into the College World Series. College football to me has usually kind of been obsolete as well. I went to one college football game with an actual team where the fans get into it, the community gets into it. It's a stadium that's bigger than Soldier Field, and I went, "Oh, now I get it. Now I get it. This is what it's like." So, yeah, I'm going to blame Western Illinois University for the fact that they were just so mediocre and abysmal with probably all their sports. To be fair, I wasn't really taking in many of their athletics while we were there. I was too busy trying to get that theater degree, man. Got to get on the stage. But yeah, it was a hell of a time. I am now an official Gator guy, and I got a couple shirts, got some swag. I'll be back there this upcoming weekend to watch them take on the Tennessee Vols, and great time, awesome experience. And it's nice to say I now have a third team. So my fandom, I'm sure, will grow and fluctuate over the upcoming season and seasons to come. But we're in a nice spot. It's nice to finally be claimed by a college football team. I was a free agent for many, many seasons, and the Florida Gators made a compelling offer. And, here I am. I'm a Gator guy.
was part of that compelling offer that you would be disowned by your girlfriend's family if you did not cheer for the Gators?
100%. Yep, absolutely. That's pretty much it.
It's a
You got
very
it.
compelling offer. It's a very, very
Pretty
compelling
much.
offer.
Actually, the pitch they got me was like, "Yeah, we go to Gator games. You got to go. You have a good time." And I was like, "All right."
Sold.
That was it. Sold. All someone had to do was invite me to one. After all these years, that's it. It could have been any team. Could have been any team. Hey, you want to come to this thing? I would have become a new fan because I didn't have a fandom. Now I've got a fandom, and now I'm a Florida Gator, even though I'm still a Western Illinois Leatherneck. But I'm a Florida Gator, when it comes to watching the team. So good stuff. Very cool time though. A lot of cool traditions.
Yeah. Now we can revisit this after you, perhaps. Now, was this Florida's first home game of the year? Were they at home this first time this year?
It was. They lost. They lost to Utah last week. First game at home, they won.
Yeah. So first game at home, so there's a certain amount of hype with that, and perhaps your first Gator hardcore matchup, which I believe you're going to the Tennessee game coming up.
Correct.
Maybe a better time to actually have this conversation, but I'm just curious, as someone who's not been at big time college sporting events before, I find it is one of the most fun in-stadium experiences that one can have across the board, across any sports of all time, a football game or a basketball game. College hockey's super fun in the stadium as well. But there's something about, because there's that student body, and so the attendance like skews younger, and there's this large section of students being drunken idiots most of the time, but bringing a very fun energy to the place makes it a much more exciting place to be. Do you, and maybe I just go to too many games at lame-o Yankee Stadium to and so I'm a little jaded now, but have you found that to be the case now that you're a big college sports guy?
Of course, yeah. Now that I'm the biggest college sports fan of all time, I've definitely picked up on that. No, I do agree. It makes a world of difference. Not only when you're a bigger marketed school, but then on top of it, when you have fans that live and die by this team. It's kind of, I don't want to. I'm just going to say it. It's kind of how I wish more Tigers fans were. I wish more Tigers fans were kind of like live by the sword, die by the sword, which based off what I saw last weekend in Gainesville, like 100% of the fans pretty much were like, and I respect that. I respect that. I know it's different mediums when you're playing one game a week as opposed to 5 or 6 or sometimes 7, like the Tigers can be at times. I get that. But yeah, it also too, like for me, this doesn't even go back to college. This goes back to high school. Like I have never gone to a school as a student where the team has been competitive and even professional. I mean, the Bears, they're pretty bad across the board in all my years of fandom. Some years better than others. Tigers aren't good. Pretty much what I'm getting at here is all my teams are a bunch of losers. And I'm not saying that the Gators won't join that kind of bandwagon, so to speak, and get thrown up on the mantle with the other teams and kind of lumped in. But as it stands now, it's just fun to watch a completely different team that you don't know about, and you're trying now to kind of like learn it and like you figure out players and how things work and the history and all that. So yeah, it's night and day compared to where we went to school. We were laughing. I think capacity there. I think it's like 79 to 80,000. Well, no, because they had 80,000. I think 90,000 is like their capacity, somewhere around there. And then we were looking at Hanson Field where the Leathernecks play, and I think their capacity was like 16. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty much like just there's high school stadiums that are bigger than we went to college. So what does that tell you? But boy, for those of you who aren't Tiger fans, like this is just a boring podcast. They're just going to talk about football, and probably we are. Just a spoiler because I got to go to my first college game. NFL is back. And while, the Tigers just took 2 out of 3 from the White Sox, this thing's over in 20 games, folks. We're on cruise control. It's senioritis season here at the Michigan and Trumbull podcast, and that's where we're at. But, yeah, overall, great experience. Look forward to my next game, and hopefully have more to report as the season goes on. Go Gators. All right.
To the Gators. Get out of here.
See, I did this, which isn't that Hook'em Horns?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And I
Which,
usually just in general
horns. I love watching Alabama lose. And so
Yeah,
that was a great time.
Yeah, so I'm a rock on guy. I do a lot of rock on symbols, but now that I'm a big college football guy, I can't hook 'em horns. Everyone's going to think, that's Texas, right? Texas Longhorns, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to think I'm a Texas guy, but they do the gator chop.
My favorite thing is because you're trying to keep it in the frame, you have to like short arm it, and so that's like
I'm like a dinosaur trying to do it. Could you imagine
it's
trying
like
to watch
watching
a dinosaur do a gator chop?
Like watching a politician like do the wave at a sporting event where you're like, oh, this person is just like never in these environments, and somebody has told them what to do, but they don't quite have it naturally in their body yet. And
speaking of politicians, I'm going to do this impression. I'm going to go for the joke here. Which former president of the United States am I?
Marco Rubio was never president of the United States.
It's Rubio. That was the former president. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't know why I wanted to do that so badly. I don't know why. What is it? Boy, you know, we got nothing to talk about on this show today. When I start doing impersonations of presidents, that's we're up shit's creek without a paddle.
Well, it is interesting because I think that you mentioned that it's senioritis around here at the Michigan and Trumbull podcast, and it definitely is, because this is also like the NFL has started. The Tigers are not actually eliminated from the playoffs yet, but it would take, just something that's never been seen before in Major League Baseball history for them to take the division at this point, where the Twins suddenly lose 20 straight games, and the Tigers, win 15 out of the last 20, and take the division at this point. But the thing that is interesting is that I would absolutely, even with us doing the show, not watch baseball games. I would keep track of the game. I would be checking in on the score and checking the box score and doing that kind of stuff. But I'm now watching football Thursday night, most of the day Saturday, all day Sunday, and Monday night, and so that leaves little time to let my wife watch what she wants to watch on television. And so I wouldn't then take the time with baseball. But because these are the final 20 or so games of Miguel Cabrera's career, I will be tuning in 2 games to watch Miggy's at-bats, to watch his final appearances in some of these stadiums, which will transition us into me talking about my time at Yankee Stadium last week.
Yes.
Where I was in attendance at all 3 games. Those that have been following the show from the beginning, I have not missed a Detroit Tigers game in New York since I moved to New York, which coincides approximately with the start of this show. And, going into the series, they were 0-6 in the city of New York since I had moved here. Then after the first 2 games, they were sitting at 0-8. And then finally on Thursday night, they shellacked the New York Yankees 10-3.
10-3.
Which was very fun. I gotta say, I have not had more fun at Yankee Stadium than I had on Thursday night. It was a great time. I was sitting in the bleachers with my buddy Dan, whose last name I promised him I would withhold from the show, because he's such bad luck for the Yankees. He doesn't want that to get out in the city of New York. So Dan, thanks for coming. You're coming to all 6 games next year when we play 3 at Citi Field and 3 at Yankee Stadium, because it worked. Whatever you're bringing to the table worked. But we were out in the bleachers. There were a couple other Tigers fans nearby who had imbibed in a little bit of alcohol.
Nice.
And so just having a great time. And the Tigers were up from go in that game. And so it was just a really fun way. But I did as we headed to the bottom of the ninth with a 10-3 lead, I did turn to Dan and I said, I am way more nervous than I should be with a 10-3 lead because my heart has been broken by this team way too many times.
Yeah, a little PTSD.
Yeah, but nothing too bad to report there. The only disappointment on Thursday night, obviously, Miguel Cabrera's final appearance at Yankee Stadium. He ends up going 0 for 4, maybe 0 for 5 in that appearance. And so that's obviously you wanted to see Miggy get a hit at some point in his final game at Yankee Stadium, but didn't come through. But it was a very, very classy time with the Yankees fans with Miguel Cabrera. So credit where credit is due. His first at bat, all 3 games, thunderous applause, lots of folks standing up. I don't know that anybody was sitting down during his final at bat at Yankee Stadium. Everybody kind of stood for him there, understanding what they were witnessing. And then obviously on Tuesday night they had the ceremony and gave Miguel the subway sign of 161 in River Street, autographed by this year's Yankees team. So I think they made it worthless. And
I was just say, yeah, that's not much. That's not a gift at all. A gift card would have been just fine, folks.
Then they gave him. They presented him a $10,000 check for his foundation
Nice.
from the Yankees organization. And then the thing that he got most excited about, and I think was pretty cool, was a painting of the image of him hitting a home run off of Mariano Rivera. That is, I think that's probably the thing he's going to keep. I don't know where that subway sign's going to go in his house, but that painting's probably going to be very prominently displayed.
Well, if he ever runs out of toilet paper, he can use that subway sign, I'm sure. The might hurt, but he could use it. Hey, to each their own. He's the millionaire, not me.
He's a strong man.
He is big. He is the big fella. So
big fella.
God be with us all.
Subway title, toilet paper.
It was a subway title to wipe his ass. So, all right. How big is he? We'll find out.
Join us next week on the Michigan in Trouble podcast. Oh, boy.
This just in. Miguel Cabrera wipes his ass with a subway sign. Okay,
ESPN Radio, get at us. You want this live during drive time every day.
Yeah, come on. You don't want this? Suck it, Mike Francesca. We could rock this thing here. All right, where were we?
Maybe that's the title of the episode. Suck it, Mike Francesca.
Suck it, Mike Francesca. Dude, I could watch that guy answer crank calls from Mets fans all day. Hilarious stuff. Yeah, it's, the one thing I can say for real, the Mariano Rivera, Miguel Cabrera at bat, and I think everyone knows what I'm talking about, where they, he fouled off a bunch of pitches. He fouled 2 off his leg, I think it was, and then he took Mariano Rivera deep to center field. When I think of top 5 Miguel Cabrera at bats, maybe even top 3 all time, that would have to be there. You could make an argument that might be his number 1 at bat of all time in his Tigers career, just based off of the star power. I mean, Mariano Rivera, greatest closer of all time. You can make that argument as well. I would probably say he is, in my opinion. Versus one of the greatest hitters of all time. Just a blockbuster battle, and Miggy won it. So definitely would be out there. That's cool to give him the painting. It's good to see the Yankees still have a little class. They can show a little, even though that they are 1 game away from being eliminated, it looks like, from winning the division. As if being 19 and a half back wasn't enough of a welcome call, wake up call, excuse me. You're 1 game. Good luck, Yankees. Aaron Boone, does he have a job by the end of October? Or even the beginning of October?
I don't think so. I think
he's done too. Yeah. I think he's done too. Yeah.
Yeah,
who I don't like for the Yankees among many? Sorry,
I just want to, on the Mariano Rivera point, I meant to look this up after they gave the painting because we were talking about it, but in 19 seasons in Major League Baseball, he gave up 71 home runs.
Wow.
Now, obviously a closer, so that's not, that's not 19 years of starter level innings, but it still 19 years, 71 home runs. There's not that many guys who even have a memory of hitting a home run off of Mariano Rivera. So yeah, I mean, you're completely right about that at bat. That is probably the signature at bat of Miguel Cabrera's career, which we remind you began with him hitting a walk-off home run to win a game.
Yeah. For the Marlins.
So not his first hit of that game, I don't believe, but at most the third hit of his career.
Yeah, it was some. Yeah, I'm trying to think. His first hit was a walk-off, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't a home run. I think it was a base hit walk-off, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was it a homer?
I think it was a home run. I think it was a homer in his debut with the Marlins.
My brain's getting fuzzy on me. Yeah.
It's all that gator chomping you're doing.
Yeah, the Mariano Rivera one. That one's a classic. That one's an absolute classic. No, I gotta cut it out.
No, I don't think Aaron Boone has a job.
No, I don't either. I don't like on the Marlins. He used to play for the Marlins, coincidentally enough. And he used to go by Mike Stanton back in the day. Giancarlo Stanton is built like a brick shithouse, but I think he has the worst swing in baseball. When he strikes out, it looks like he doesn't even care. Now, granted, I have watched Javier Baez play for the Tigers the last 2 seasons. Don't think he has a great swing by any means either. I think he's got a lot of holes as a hitter. What Stanton's just so strong, and he plays in such a little league ballpark that even if he makes a little contact, he hits the ball 6,000 miles. But when he whiffs, he whiffs. I think he has one of the worst swings, if not the worst swing in all of baseball. It's just like it's all arms, but I think that's a testament to how strong his lower body is. But I think it really exposes how shitty his swing mechanics are when he strikes out, which he's done quite a bit. He's not having a good season by any means, and that's why he fits in well with his current Yankees team.
Luke says about the 4th fastest player in Major League Baseball history to get to 400 home runs.
I don't know. I just think he's got a bad swing. I don't know. I think he's got a bad swing. Call me crazy, but I don't know. How many career home runs does he have?
400.
On the nose? Oh, that's right. Hit 400 against the Tigers.
Yeah, on Tuesday night.
I don't know.
Which I very much confused my wife after he hit that 400th home run, because I did stand up and clap for him, and she was very confused as to why I was cheering for a Yankees home run. And I was like, it's a milestone ball. I can't not clap for the guy.
I would have booed. No, I would have stood up and clapped too. I don't know. Maybe that's a take I'll regret someday. Among many I've said on this show. Maybe I don't have much basis to go off of, but I just feel like when that man swings and misses on a baseball, it is disgusting. Because I feel like he's just all armed, baby. But again, I think it's a testament to his lower body, how much strength he has. He can hit the ball. I'm not saying he can't hit the ball. It doesn't surprise me by any stretch of the imagination what you just said, that he's like the 4th fastest, whatever, to 400 in the career of Major League Baseball history. But I don't know. Time will tell. How old is he, by the way?
That's not that old. He's only like in his 28, somewhere in there. I just had him pulled up, but I exited the window.
He's 33. He's old.
28,
he's old in 33. Baseball.
Old as dirt.
Old as dirt.
But I think that, to kind of extend the point and bring it back to the Tigers here, I think that's another thing that just we can fully appreciate about having watched Miguel Cabrera hit all this time, is that the man has 500 home runs in his career, playing in one of the least hitter friendly parks for the majority of that career, and up high on the doubles list, always understands the hitting situation and can seemingly get it done most of the time, whatever it needs to be, whether that's a looping single, it's a long fly sac fly, or power it over the fence. Less of that in recent years, but the ability to hit to the situation so consistently that we don't really see in baseball ever, because you have guys that are power guys like Giancarlo Stanton, and you have guys that are consistent on base doubles, singles guys. And Miguel Cabrera for most of his career was both, which has just been magical to see. And he did get a hit
Like I'm
this
sure it
year.
happened last week. Yeah, I'm sure it happened during the Yankee series. Admittedly, I didn't watch that series 100% super closely, but when was the last time like Giancarlo Stanton just got a base hit? I'm sure he had one in the Yankees series because they won 2 out of those 3 games. Did he ever just hit like a single right up the middle, like a soft fly ball into right field for a single?
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely it's
It's either
always
moonshot or strikeout. I feel like lately for Giancarlo. And when I looked
yeah
it up on Google, it said one of the first things was like compilation of worst Giancarlo Stanton swings. So now I feel a little bit validated by some rando on YouTube, and that's all I need to get me through this episode.
from one rando on YouTube to another,
To another,
feeling
I see you.
feeling good. No, and I think that's like that's been that's the thing that's most frustrating about Javi Baez on this Tigers team is that we're getting the ugly strikeouts of a power hitter without
Yeah,
the also result that goes alongside it. Like yeah, you're going to have to watch at least one ugly Giancarlo Stanton home run or at bat a game, ugly strikeout, but every third day you're also probably getting a 2-run shot.
yeah. Well, yeah, as much kind of dirt as I just piled on for Stanton. Admittedly, I got no room to talk because we have to watch Javier Baez, every game, every other game, whatever his like playing situation is at this point. And when you look at those two guys' careers, Giancarlo Stanton had an enormously more successful career than Javier Baez could ever wish that he, would have. So, yeah, just one of those things. One of those
Although,
things, I suppose.
as much crap as we like to give Javi Baez as he deserves as well, he had a great series at Yankee Stadium. I think he went 3 for 4 on Tuesday night. Had a couple more hits on Wednesday, and also part of the was in the game Thursday as well. Came in late on Wednesday night, I think, is when he.
What I'm so amazed by with Javi is, you kind of mentioned just a second ago, is the loss of power. He's got 8 home runs, I think, on the
Yeah.
year. I mean, he's tied, I think, with Matt Vierling for home runs in terms of home runs that both guys have. And one of those guys was paid $140 million to hit home runs, and it wasn't Matt Vierling. So. Among other things, I know that's not just what Javi's game is home run. A lot of the defense too, and
we're paying
Javi
him for
Baez,
that defense.
We're paying him a lot of money for that defense, and I'll never really have the perfect answer for Javi's defense because there are times where he is El Mago. There is times he is the magician. There is times I watch him play defense and I go, how the hell did he do that? That's really impressive. And then those rare glimpses are then quickly overshadowed by watching a man consistently skip the ball to first base. And I'm just like, it's like he doesn't even does he not have the arm strength to throw to Spencer Torkelson at first base? Like I'm genuinely curious. So Javi's an anomaly. I'm really curious, and we kind of were joking about it before we got going, the cut him and keep him episode. Right now, I'm cutting him. I think you have to cut Javi Baez. I don't know who the replacement is going into 2024. I will be curious to see if the Tigers also are like, this guy is not going to be around for the long-term future. I would be stunned if Javier Baez opted out, because who in their right mind would want to take Javier Baez right now? And, in terms of free agency, unless you get him for the deal of all deals, if I'm Javi, from a business mindset, just stay where you are, man. Make that paycheck, handle the boo birds from time to time, and get out of Comerica when your time is right until this team cuts you out of Comerica. And I'll be curious to see if they do that this offseason. If they say, you know what? Thanks, Javi. That's from the previous regime. That was one of Avila's last moves. Scott Harris wants to do his things his way. And maybe they do cut him out. Maybe they don't. But I think, personally, just foreshadowing to our cut him and keep him episode, you got to cut Javi Baez going into 2024 and give someone else a shot. Honestly, I'd say give Zach Short a shot every night at shortstop.
I mean, look at their stat lines this season. Zach Short versus Javi Baez. Zach Short has 6 home runs. And an offensive WAR of 0.6, which is the exact same as Javi Baez's. So you're
No.
And I'll pull up the defense here and look at their defensive war. But I have to think they're at least even, if not, Zach Short is a defensive plus versus Javi Baez.
Yeah, and that's to be fair. I'll stick up for Javi there a little bit. That's because A, Zach Short didn't even make this team out of camp, and B, has had less games played than Javi. So
all right,
I would love to see
so it is, so Javi does have a better defensive war than Zach Short, but it's Javi has a 1.1 defensive war and Zach Short's is 0.7. So I think that you're
not a ton of daylight.
Yeah, you're certainly, the $100 million difference at minimum between the two of them on their contracts. Zach Short's probably making like 5. I don't know what his contract looks like. So
500, maybe that's it.
Yeah,
$500.
League minimum right now.
Million. Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they handle the Javi situation. So one thing I do want to talk about real quick, keeping it on the Tigers, is with the most recent series victory over the Chicago White Sox. I believe it was for the first time since 2011, if I'm not mistaken. The Detroit Tigers won the season series against all 4 teams in the American League Central: Kansas City, Cleveland, Minnesota, and Chicago. And although I have dogged on this team a lot this season, and I think rightfully so in a lot of ways, that is an impressive thing. And that does, to me, show signs of improvement, because I've said so many times in the past on this show, if you even want to be considered a front runner at the playoffs, a legitimate threat, a contender, whatever, it starts with beating the teams in your own division. And we have seen for so many years, in recent memory, that the Tigers were unable to do that. So that is a big feat. Now, just because you beat every team in your division does not then mean you can go and lose 1 out of 2, 2 out of 4, or just get straight up swept by all other opposing non-AL Central teams, because then you will be in a situation that you are still currently in, where you're a fringe 70 to 74 win team and missing out on the playoffs once again. So good work on beating the crap out of teams within your division. Let's hope next year we see that translate to teams just across the league. In particular, the AL East. I think they only won like 5 games or 4 games against AL East teams this season. So that's not good. Gotta fix that. I know the AL East is competitive, but those are the types of teams you'll see in the postseason if you're ever lucky enough to get there. So you got to give them a run for their money and not just roll over and die.
Agree. Wanna have some fun with numbers, Luke?
Yes, let's do it. I love numbers. Love math.
Look at him drink water. He's great. All right, Spencer Torkelson leading the team with 27 home runs. Great season for Torque at the plate. We'll take it. Compared to last year, 27 home runs, 78 RBIs, 124 hits.
Yes. Better than last year, absolutely. Consistency is now his next hurdle he needs to climb. So that's, it's hard to work on that in the offseason because you're not playing games, obviously, but that is the one thing I want to see from Spencer Torkelson, among other players as well, going into the 2024 season, just being more consistent overall at the dish. And in the field, too. But that's another thing.
Well, if he had a shortstop that wasn't skipping the ball to him every throw, that would help his defensive positioning. I then was wondering, Luke, who holds the single-season Detroit Tigers record for home runs?
Single-season Detroit Tigers record for home runs. Qualifying question. Is this someone from recent memory or is this an old school Tiger? Because I have an answer for both.
This is an old school Tiger.
I'm going to go, could be wrong, I'm going to go the man himself, Mr. Tiger, the great Al Kaline.
That is a good guess, but it is not him. It is a man who goes by the name Hammerin' Hank Greenberg,
Hank.
who hit 58 home runs in 1938, which is the second oldest club record in Major League Baseball. The oldest belongs to a guy named Jimmy Fox, who also hit 58, but he did so in 1932. Which franchise was Jimmy Fox a part of? There's a connection to the show, is what I'll help you with.
Well, is it the Detroit Tigers?
No.
Jimmy Fox. Oh boy. Getting exposed for showing my lack of knowledge of old school baseball. That's okay.
Listen, Luke,
I've
you
never
had a
claimed to be an
perfect
old school
immaculate
guy.
grid today, so...
I did. Yes, we buried the lead with that. I did do that. Also, who'd have thought, just sidebar for a second, who'd have thought I would complete an immaculate grid that had nothing to do with the Detroit Tigers? The Tigers weren't even one of the teams mentioned today. It was a lot of Nationals, Pirates, White Sox, Pirates, I think were on there. Anyways, I'm rambling. Jimmy Fox, and you said there's a connection to this podcast. I'm going to say is, I think I might know you're going with this, was an Oakland A.
That is correct. Oakland A, 1932. Club record.
Context clues, ladies and gentlemen. Context clues.
Okay, Luke. The second person on the Tigers list after Hammerin' Hank Greenberg is not our era of Detroit Tigers quite yet, but they did play post 84 World Series for the Detroit Tigers. So late 80s, early 90s Detroit Tigers. Who do you think it is?
This was my second guess for the old school. I could be totally off base here, but a man who I know was known for hitting some nukes. Cecil Fielder?
That is correct. 51 in the 1990 season.
There we go.
If you get the guy sitting at number 3, I'll be deeply impressed.
Okay.
From the 60s.
I have a little... the 60s, okay. I am going to go Alex Avila. Show me Alex.
Rocky Colavito.
Would never have gotten that one.
Hit 45 home runs.
Me $1 billion. Wouldn't have gotten that.
In 1967. And then there's a guy who's sitting tied with himself in the 4th, 5th spot.
Miguel Cabrera with 44, I believe.
That is correct, in 2012 and 2013.
I looked this up the other day, actually just yesterday, because I was like, how many? I was amazed. Like, I was surprised Miguel Cabrera never had a 50 home run season. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, no, he never did. He never did. So
also tied with Miggy at 44 on that list are Hammerin' Hank Greenberg, who did it in 46, and Cecil Fielder, who did it in 1991. So those guys could really hit.
This is the second time you've referred to Hank Greenberg as Hammerin' Hank Greenberg, which is totally fair. If you hit as many home runs as he did, I think the Hammerin' title or moniker isn't just exclusively to one person by the first name of Hank. But I always think of Hammerin' Hank Aaron, because I think that's how most people know as it has kind of gone by that nickname as. And every time I'm like, am I going to have to correct Alex? And we're going to talk about Hank Aaron now. I was like, I don't think he was a former Tiger. I could be wrong. But Hank Greenberg, legend. Legend.
Lovely Hank Greenberg. It's really interesting, the number of guys who fully repeat on this list. I guess it's not overly interesting, but there is one person in there from 2015. Can you name the 2015 Tiger in the top 22 of single season home runs?
How many home runs did this Tiger have? Would you mind divulging?
38 home runs in 2015.
I'm not going to say Miggy. I'm torn between V-Mart and JD Martinez. Prince was already gone by then. Kinsler didn't get up there. Torrey Hunter didn't get up there. I think those guys might have been gone too. Oh, maybe Justin Upton. Ooh, there's three. There's three I'm torn on. Upton, JD, Victor. I'm gonna go JD.
It was JD Martinez, 38 home runs
Give him
in
the points, ladies and gentlemen.
2015. Give it to him.
Give him the points. Love it.
Yeah, those are the numbers today.
Love it. Those are the numbers. Love it. Good numbers. Good work.
Good numbers. Good rest of the season. It's going to be good. We got some more guys kind of making some debuts, making their way up, doing their thing.
Yeah. Real quick on that, Sawyer Gipson-Long had a real nice start, first career win against the Chicago White Sox on that Sunday matinee. So I don't want to bury the lead there because that was a pretty damn good start and appearance for your major league debut. The White Sox suck beyond all belief.
They're awful,
but regardless, they are so bad. They are atrocious, and I'm sure we'll get in that like during like a postseason kind of recap if we get the guys back on. I'd love to hear Colin's thoughts in particular because they are just bad. But to be fair, and I'm going to give myself some credit, I remember saying during the preseason picks and predictions episode, the White Sox are going to have one of two things happen. They're either going to be really bad or they're going to be a team that wins like 90 games. We're all going to be like, well, yeah, of course they're going to win 90 games. Look at the roster. And it has been the latter. So yeah, just not good. They have been a dog shit baseball team this season. I would like to see, I know, there's no prizes for second place finishes really, but it would be cool to see the Tigers gain games on Cleveland because I think they're only a game and a half back right now. Detroit's 9 out, Cleveland's 7.5, and they're going to finish off the season against the Guardians. So it would be cool to see the Tigers kind of supersede Cleveland and solely finish in the second place spot this season. I feel like they deserve it.
And things are set up pretty well for the Tigers to at least do their part of that equation, as it's 4 games against Oakland coming up. Dude, 3 against Kansas City. The Angels are terrible.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing real quick on that, because they're about to begin their final road trip of the season when they go out west. The Angels, first of all, they're playing the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a great team, so the Dodgers will probably whoop up on the Tigers. They never play well against the Angels, whether it's at home or on the road. And they have not played well against Oakland. I don't know the numbers exactly, but like the last 4 or 5 years, Oakland has had the Tigers book. I mean, they took 2 out of 3 from the Tigers earlier this season in Detroit. So as excited as I want to be that like, okay, you know what? They'll whoop up on LA, they'll whoop up on Oakland. I'm not counting those as guaranteed wins. I feel pretty good against the Kansas City series and the Cleveland series to wrap up the year. But those Angels and Oakland A's are always a pain in the ass to the Tigers. And I just don't, those aren't going to be walk in the parks. They should be, but I just don't feel like they're going to be.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but I will also say, and I mean this sincerely because Tom's not even here for me to be sucking up to him. This Oakland Athletic team, I think, is better than their record reflects. And if they had ownership that cared, there are pieces there that they could build with, and it's not as like porous of an organization that needs fixing as one might initially think looking at the terrible Oakland Athletics. But you watch them play, they're like in games for about 6 innings with really great teams, and then something falls apart from the bullpen.
They just don't have pitching.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to say they have a great offense either, but they really have no pitching.
Certainly not. But like defensively, they can kind of stick around. But the pitching is just awful, and that they're just getting shelled.
Well, also not to suck up to Tom either, who's not even here. But for what it's worth, they're not the worst team in baseball. Kansas City has taken that mantle from Oakland. So that might change by the end of the year. But as it currently stands, Oakland, I believe, is a game better than Kansas City. Oakland's got a 308 win percentage. Kansas City's 306. So they're really volleying back and forth for who's going to be stuck in the basement. You want to take a guess at who the third worst team in baseball is this year?
I guess the Chicago White Sox?
Close. From what I can gather, doing a quick look, they're number 4. The number 3 worst team. And when you hear this team, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. They're an NL team.
I pay so little attention to the National League. The Mets?
No, look more west. Maybe get a coat. Might be a little bit chilly. Might want to hit the slopes after the game because it's so bad.
The Colorado Rockies?
There you go. Yeah, the Rockies suck, dude. They're so bad. They're 51-91. The Rockies are a team, and I have to remember this when we do our picks next season. I always pick them last, I feel like, or I always in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Like, they're my last pick, so I don't expect much out of them. But maybe they can get me like 65, 70 wins. They can't even do that. They're 51-91. They are a mess of an organization as well. They're probably the most directionless organization in all of baseball. I'm sure A's fans or Royals fans or White Sox fans would disagree with me, but I feel like that is a team that is consistently just terrible. They were good like what, 1 year when Matt Holliday slid into home and sends them to the World Series against the Red Sox and they lost in the World Series. Like just terrible. Just terrible. But yeah, not great for the A's, not great for the Royals. It's very meh for the Tigers right now. They are 66 and 77, I believe. Let me see here. Yeah, 66, 77. So probably going to finish under 500 once again. But, maybe they can get that wins number to like 75, 78. Maybe be more on par with the 2021 team. So we'll see what happens.
I love it. And we'll be here to chat about it as the season winds down. Luke, have a great week.
See you, buddy. Have a good one.